Ladies and gentlemen, imagine you're holding sand in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. And yet we do this with people, with love, with relationships. We cling, we grasp, we refuse to let go. But here's the truth. What is meant to stay will stay, effortlessly. And what is meant to leave will leave, no matter how tightly we hold on. The reason you're suffering is simple. You're resisting reality. You're trying to own something that was never yours to begin with. People are not possessions. They are not extensions of our desires. They come, they go, and their departure is not a failure on your part. It is simply life unfolding as it always does. We have been sold a lie, that we must keep people close to be happy, that solitude is something to be feared. But have you ever noticed how the most peaceful moments in life often come in solitude? Sitting quietly, watching the waves crash, walking under the moonlight. These moments remind us that happiness has never been dependent on another person. It has always been within us. When someone chooses to leave your life, let them. Let them go without resentment, without clinging, without the false hope that they will return. Because when you do, something incredible happens. You free yourself. You stop being a prisoner of someone else's choices. You begin to move with the current instead of against it. So why do we hold on? Fear. Fear that we are not enough alone. Fear that we will never find love again. But love is not something you find, it is something you are. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop forcing, love begins to flow naturally through your life, not because you need it, but because you are finally open to it. So let them go, let them be happy alone, and in doing so you will discover that you too can be happy alone, because happiness is not something given nor something taken, it is something realized. And once you see that, you are truly free. The illusion of control is one of the greatest sources of human suffering. We walk through life believing that if we hold on tightly enough, if we try hard enough, if we say the right things, people will stay. We convince ourselves that love can be preserved like a photograph, frozen in time, untouched by the natural currents of life. But this is a misunderstanding of reality. Nothing in this world is truly ours to keep. Not people, not moments, not even ourselves in the way we know today. Everything is in motion, constantly shifting, constantly evolving. And yet we resist this truth because the idea of control brings us comfort. It gives us the illusion that we have power over things that in reality are beyond our grasp. When someone drifts away from us, whether through distance, change, or choice, we feel betrayed, as if something we were entitled to has been stolen. But was it ever ours to begin with? A person does not belong to you simply because they once loved you, or because they once promised forever. Forever is an idea we created to soothe ourselves in an impermanent world. But nature does not work in forevers. It works in cycles, in seasons, in movement. To try and force something to stay the same is to fight against the very nature of existence. What happens when we attempt to control people? They resist, they pull away, and the more we try to hold on, the more they feel the need to escape. Love turns into obligation, affection into burden. But if we surrender this illusion, if we allow life to flow without clinging, we begin to see that letting go is not a loss. It is simply allowing things to be as they were always meant to be. Attachment and love are often mistaken for the same thing, but in reality they are worlds apart. Love is expansive, free-flowing, and without conditions. Attachment, on the other hand, is rooted in fear. The fear of loss, the fear of loneliness, the fear of not being enough without another person to validate us. We tell ourselves that if we love someone, we must hold on to them tightly, that letting them go means we have failed. But this is not love, this is possession in disguise, a desperate attempt to secure permanence in a world that is anything but permanent. Attachment is what makes us suffer when someone leaves. It is what turns love into an addiction, where the absence of the other person feels like withdrawal. We believe we need them to be happy, that their presence completes us, but this illusion only leads to disappointment. No one can complete you because you were never incomplete to begin with. When we attach ourselves to another person, we are not loving them as they are. We are loving the idea of what they give us, of how they make us feel. This is why relationships filled with attachment feel suffocating. They are not built on love. They are built on the fear of losing something we think we cannot live without. Real love does not bind. It does not ask for control, nor does it demand permanence. It allows people to be free, to grow, to change, even if that change means growing apart. When we let go of attachment, we stop trying to mold people into what we want them to be. We begin to love them not for how they fit into our lives, but simply for who they are, even if that means loving them from afar. Everything in life is impermanent. The people we meet, the emotions we feel, the experiences we cherish, all of it is in a constant state of change. But instead of embracing this natural rhythm, we resist it. We try to hold on to people as if they are fixed points in time, as if their presence in our lives is something we can secure indefinitely. Yet no matter how much we fight, things continue to shift, and the more we resist, the more we suffer. We forget that change is not the enemy, it is the essence of existence. A river does not resist its flow, a tree does not cling to its leaves in autumn, and the waves do not fight the tide. Nature moves with change, never against it. And yet, we humans, in our desperate attempt to create stability, cling to things that are meant to evolve, to move, to transform. We hold on to relationships that no longer serve us, to memories that no longer reflect reality, to identities that no longer fit who we have become. But what if, instead of fearing change, we embraced it? What if we understood that people leaving, circumstances shifting, and emotions fading are not signs of something going wrong, but signs that life is unfolding exactly as it should? When we truly accept the nature of change, we stop gripping so tightly. We stop begging people to stay when their journey is leading them elsewhere. We stop fearing endings because we recognize them as beginnings in disguise. There is freedom in surrendering to the flow of life, and when we do, we no longer see change as loss. We see it as the unfolding of something new, something we are finally ready to receive. Solitude is not loneliness. It is a return to oneself. Yet we have been conditioned to fear it, to see being alone as a sign of failure, as if our worth is determined by the presence of others in our lives. We fill every empty space with noise, with distractions, with people who may not even align with us, simply because the idea of being alone terrifies us. But why? Why do we run from the very thing that has the power to bring us the deepest sense of peace? The truth is, we have spent so much time looking outward, seeking validation, love, and fulfillment from others, that we have forgotten how to exist within ourselves. We have convinced ourselves that happiness is something to be given to us, that love must come from another source, that wholeness is achieved only through connection with others. But this is the greatest illusion, because no matter how many people surround you, no matter how much love you receive, if you are not at peace within yourself, you will always feel an emptiness that no one else can fill. Embracing solitude is not about isolation, it is about self-discovery. It is about sitting with yourself, with your thoughts, with your emotions, and realizing that you are not incomplete. It is about shedding the idea that your happiness is dependent on someone else's presence. When you stop fearing solitude, you begin to understand that it is in these quiet moments that you truly connect with life, with existence itself. You learn to appreciate the stillness, to find joy in your own company, to experience the world without the need for external validation. And in that space, you realize you are never truly alone. You are simply waiting to meet yourself. Letting go is often seen as loss, but in reality it is freedom. We hold on to people, to relationships, to memories, believing that our attachment will somehow preserve them, as if our grasp has the power to stop time itself. But the harder we cling, the more we suffer. We try to rewrite endings that have already been written, to force people to stay when their journey is leading them elsewhere. And in doing so, we become prisoners, not of them, but of our own unwillingness to accept what is. Letting go does not mean we stop caring. It does not mean we erase the past or pretend it never mattered. It means we recognize that clinging to what no longer serves us is an act of self-inflicted suffering. It means we trust that if something is meant for us, it will remain effortlessly, and if it is not, no amount of force will make it stay. The more we resist, the more pain we create for ourselves. But the moment we surrender, the moment we stop trying to hold on to something that is already slipping away, peace finds us. We are afraid that if we let go, we will be left with nothing. But what if letting go is not an ending, but an opening? What if it is the space where something new, something more aligned, can finally enter? Life is always in motion, always shifting, always creating space for something different. When we learn to let go, we stop fighting the current. We allow life to unfold as it was always meant. And in that surrender, we do not lose, we gain. We gain clarity, peace, and the ability to move forward without carrying the weight of what was never ours to keep. Freedom is the essence of joy, yet we spend so much of our lives trying to confine ourselves and others within expectations, obligations, and attachments. We believe that holding on to people, controlling relationships, and securing permanence will bring us happiness. But true joy is never found in possession. It is found in the ability to release, to allow, to flow with life rather than against it. We suffer not because we lack love, but because we try to cage it, forgetting that love in its purest form is boundless. When we let people go, when we stop forcing them to fit into the mold we desire, we are not losing them, we are setting them free. And in setting them free, we also free ourselves. We free ourselves from the weight of expectation, from the pain of clinging, from the illusion that happiness can only exist if another person remains by our side. The truth is, joy is not found in keeping. It is found in experiencing, in appreciating, in allowing love to come and go as naturally as the changing seasons. Happiness does not come from possessing another, nor from the security of knowing they will never leave. It comes from understanding that every person who enters our lives brings something valuable, lessons, experiences, love, and that when their time with us is complete, we can let them go with gratitude rather than resistance. When we stop trying to control, we open ourselves to a life of ease, a life where we are no longer trapped by fear of loss, but liberated by the acceptance of change. And in that space, in that freedom, we realize that happiness was never about keeping anyone close. It was about learning to be at peace, no matter who stays or who goes. Letting go is not about abandonment or indifference. It is about trust. Trust in the flow of life, trust in yourself, and trust that what is meant for you will never require force to stay. We spend so much of our energy trying to grip tightly to people, to relationships, to moments, believing that our happiness depends on their permanence. But the truth is, happiness is not found in attachment. It is found in freedom. When you release the need to control, you make space for peace. When you stop resisting change, you allow life to unfold as it was always meant to. You are not losing anything by letting go. You are gaining clarity, lightness, and the ability to move forward unburdened. Love does not disappear when someone leaves. It transforms, it evolves, and sometimes it simply exists as a memory, a lesson, a moment in time that served its purpose. And that is enough. You do not need to hold on to be whole. You do not need another person to complete you. You are already complete, already enough, already worthy of happiness on your own. So let them go. Let them be happy alone. And in doing so, discover the quiet, powerful truth. You too can be happy alone. Because happiness is not something that comes from holding on to others. It is something that awakens the moment you decide to set yourself free.